relations. Uh, Good afternoon. This is Bob G, Counselor Public Relations. In our previous class in Block 1, we dealt with Unit 1 and Unit 2. And today we are going to discuss Unit 3, that is Public Relations, Public and Public Opinion, and Unit 4, that is Public Relations Models. Unit 3, that is Lesson 3, Public Relations Public. Who are the public? I mean, the targeted audience. I mean, the people for public relations practice. And what is public opinion? How far public opinion is important in the practice of public relations? We know public opinion is the very foundation of any democracy, the parliamentary democracy. And for public relations practitioners, the public opinion is very, very, very important. Now, in this lesson, let us talk about the publics, the targeted publics, the specified publics. As I told you, the general public is a myth in the practice of public relations because the public differ from organization to organization, and a PR practitioner cannot do listening with the general public, but the public concerned, the public segmented, the public targeted for the purpose of achieving the objectives of that particular organization for which he is working either internally or externally, either PRO or a PR agency. Now, public, as I already told you, they have been segmented vertically, they are split vertically into internal publics and external publics. And then we need to know what is the nature of the organization. And the public depends upon the nature of the organization because every organization will have its own vision, mission, objectives, aims. So, depending upon the aims and objectives, any organization, the purpose of any organization is to do some business or to do some service. It means either they manufacture goods or they extend services. Whether the goods or the services, it has to deal with a particular kind of people. They are called customers or consumers or whatever the name we assign because they become the public of that particular organization. And the nature of organization decides the nature of the public they want. The nature of the public they wanted to, the organization wanted to have license, maintain relationship with that particular kind of publics. Now, the very important process in this exercise is to identify the public. The public, who are the public? They have to be identified beforehand. After identification only, the public relations practitioner need to communicate with the targeted public, I mean, the identified publics. And then the segmentation of the publics into various categories like customers, consumers, commuters, stakeholders, stockholders, employees, external opinion leaders, and of course, the public opinion is all about the public relations practice. Now, let us see what is public. Every organization has numerous publics, not one single kind of public. They have different kinds of publics. To figure out who you are public or think about who has a role in helping your organization achieve its goals and objectives. The most obvious public or targeted audience, segmented public. for public relations is the customer or the prospective customer. But there are many others who play roles in the success. They are called suppliers sometimes, strategic partners, resellers, integrators, stockholders, venture capitalists, bankers, end users of the product or end user of the services, educators, competitors. Even your competitors will become sometimes your audience or public, because you need to know through the media about your organization so that your competitor will also respond. Then investors, employees, and their families, and the community in which you do business are all the examples of the public, that is targeted public, specified public, and the uh, segmented public. Now, if you go further deep into the publics, the from Roman times, of course, Indian culture has also the same kind of theory and concept, similar to Roman kind. But we say generally vox populi. Vox means voice, populi means people. So Prajavaku, Daivavaku we have with us. Similarly, they have vox populi and vox dei. Dei means deity, that means God. So the voice of the people is the voice of God, has been used as a way of saying that the people have spoken. The Romans, especially, they used the phrase to mean the voice of the people and the voice of God. We have with us, if you say in Telugu, Prajavaku, Daivavaku. It means what people think will decide the fate of any organization. It is the duty of a communicator, be it a public relations practitioner or a publicity agent or a press agency, working on behalf of an organization in order to disseminate the information about the organization to the public, and how they receive the information you have disseminated is very important, because it decides the future of the organization. It decides the acceptance or rejection of the goods or services of the organization for which a public relations practitioner is working or acting on behalf of the. And then there are some key ramifications about the word public. There is no such entity as the public, because the general public is a myth, as we already discussed. There is not one, but there are many publics. In public relations, generally, public itself is a plural, collective noun. But when segmented, they become publics. There is no wrong in saying publics as far as practice of public relations is concerned. Generally, public is a plural, but we call them publics. A group of people belonging to a particular kind, they are one segment of public. And another group of people, they have different tastes. Their social background is different. Their aspirations are different. Their lifestyle is different. They are categorized as into a public. So this public, and that public, these different groups of public, we can call them as publics for the practice of public relations. And sometimes issues, products, services, I mean, they create their own public. If you have a product, if you have a product, you have your public. And it is your duty, I mean, the duty of the organization, to go in search of the publics who want your product or who want your service, and tailor made your message so that they receive the information and they look towards you to buy your product or to avail your services. Then the nature of an organization usually dictates its publics. So suppose a college is there, their publics are parents and student community. Supposing a hospital, corporate hospital or government hospital is there, usually their public are patients and their attendants. Supposing Metro Water Supply, for example, Hyderabad city, who are the publics of the organization, of that particular organization? The water users. Water users can be domestic, water users can be commercial, water users can be industrial. So So this domestic lot will become a public, commercial lot will become a public, industrial lot will become a public. So all the three are put together. They are called publics of Hyderabad Metro Water, for example, Hyderabad Metro Water Supply and Sewerage Board. So that being the meaning of the publics, let us move on to the segmented publics vertically, that is internal and external. The employees are the first in any organization. Employees are important. Without employees, without workers, there cannot be, of course, there is a management, there is money, there is material, there is investment, there is capital. But without the workforce, without the employees, nothing can move. Therefore, employees are the first in any organization. Somebody said employees are the assets beyond balance sheet figures because they are the assets and they are the mouthpiece of the organization. And sometimes they are the ambassadors of the organization. If the organization, the people, public, that is internal public, employees or workforce of an organization talk negatively about their own organization, the credibility, the image of the organization will definitely suffer. If the employees talk good about their own organization, definitely in the society and in the community around, the people will look up to the organization because the employees are the ambassadors. If they are not satisfied, if they cannot be satisfied, the word of communication, the word of mouth communication will go out in a different fashion, and the credibility, image, identity of that particular organization will definitely suffer. I'll give you example. Alvin, there used to be a good company, an industrial establishment, Alvin company. The employees started talking ill about it, and there used to be some IDPL, something like that, and some ECIL. These are all the organizations set up under the government aegis and under the supervision of the government with the investment of the government. But because of the failure to maintain internal public relations, that is good relations with the employees by the management, the employees started talking about their against their organization, their own organization, and the what has happened. People of this generation may not be knowing, but definitely you might have heard about the IDPL, Alvin, and ECIL. So what I mean to say is the employees are more important for an organization because they are the first in any organization. If organization invests in finance and produce products, there is a very need to have employees of the sale of products. After producing some goods, you need some staff to sell them. Without the sales representatives, the sales will not happen. Therefore, employees who are internal publics are upgrade importance to the functioning of an organization. They have to be looked after. Public relations, because it is a discipline, it has a discipline of information, educating, motivating the employees towards organizations' goals. Then, external public. Having dealt with, having understood who the internal publics are, it is also necessary for us to identify who are the external publics. The external publics are those publics who are connected with the organization, either dependent for the product or dependent upon the organization for the services, or vice versa. The organization will depend upon a certain kind of people, groups of people for selling their products or services. Okay, why products and services always? Because these two are the marketable goods in any economy. One is product, any material product, any goods, and service. Service includes the ideas or any kind of service. So these two things are the saleable things. So if you are producing either goods or services, they have to reach to the public concern. They are called external public. And unless you sell your ideas, sell your services, sell your goods, there is no purpose for your organization existing in this society. So the external publics are several. They can be the local representatives, community leaders, the buyers of your products, and the users of your services, and many other segments of people who support your organization, who buy your products and who buy your services. These are called external publics, and they can be largely, we can say that they are the customers of your organization. And now look at the nature of organization and the public of that particular organization. Now, as mentioned earlier, the nature of an organization, it usually dictates its publics because yatha organization, tada praja. And one can draw some major distincts applied to the nature of organization and its publics. Organizations with similar goals and purposes have similar kind of public. Yes, if I am producing if I am producing some kind of a product, and another organization also producing the same kind of product, the customers, the consumers will be same. Supposing I am APSRTC, I am an organization, and you are KSRTC, the neighboring state, or Madhya Pradesh or Maharashtra. So your customers and my customers are one and the same. People traveling between the two states if they are interstates. So my customers, they are called commuters. They can be people of Telangana going towards Karnataka, or if you are KSRTC, Karnataka State Road, you are an organization, and your public are people residing in our own limits, boundaries, Karnataka, traveling to Telangana, or people travel residing in Telangana, traveling between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for various purposes. Therefore, what I mean to say is similar organizations will have similar kind of customers. I just quoted the example of a road transport corporation. Similarly, if you are dealing with computers, I am also dealing with computers. Your customers are the users of the computers, not those people who are doing labor in the construction areas or the agricultural fields. They are not your customers. Maybe your customers are students, college-going students. My customers are other. Your brand is different. My brand. What I mean to say is, if the organization is same and their products and services are same, the customers tend to be the same. As organizations change in nature and purpose, so do their public. It means I am so far dealing with production of cotton cloth. You are also doing production of cotton cloth, and you remain to be a producer of cotton cloth. And I change my line of activity production. I'll be shifting from production of cloth to production of ready-made garments. Now, your customers, your external public become the same, that is, who buy the cloth for converting them into ready-made garments or shopkeepers, cloth merchants, anybody. But because I have changed my line of action from production of cloth to ready-made garments, my customers will be not the buyers of cloth, but the buyers of already stitched ready-made garments. So as the organizations change their nature and scope and the line of activity, definitely the public will also then. But what about the internal publics? The internal publics will be the same. Earlier, they used to produce cloth. Now they produce ready-made garments. This is the difference. Yes, a kind of people you may be, the kind of workforce you may be needing. Either you give them training to change from production of cloth to tailoring, or you engage the tailors or the master tailors or the cutters or somebody who is dealing with, who are experts in production of ready-made garments. Then it should be noted that there are publics within public, and many of them are hidden from you. So it is the duty of the organization or the marketing people or the people in public relations wing to search for prospective customers, prospective buyers. Because they are available in the external public. They are available outside the organization. Your workforce will always be there. They will be working for you. but your customers are important. So you will have to remember the Gandhiji's quote at this juncture. Customer is the God. He is the purpose of your business. You have to deal with him in a polite manner. Something is there. Now, identification of publics. Public is amorphous, ever changing, and virtually infinite in number. Public today may your public today, external public today, may definitely change only when your organization line of activity changes, or sometimes their lifestyle changes. Earlier, people used to buy something else. Now, because of the technological advancement, technological things, people's choices, people's options might have changed. Definitely, they will go for a newer product than the older one. Supposing earlier people used to have razor blades, razors and the blades. Now people have shifted, many people, except for some people, many people have shifted to different kinds of razors, use and throw razors, and even the trimming machines or shaving machines, wet or dry, whatever it is. Just for example, I am quoting all these things. So you have to identify the public, their tastes, their aspirations, the trends in the economy, trends in the market, what people are thinking, and sometimes even the organizations make people to habituate certain kinds of things. Some 20, 30 years ago, evening snacks or morning snacks would have been something our traditional idli, vada, dosa, or something, some other snack in the evening, cooked in oil or without oil. After the introduction of Maggi, because that organization has introduced the snack, 2 minute snack called Maggi, the lifestyle of the change, people have changed. It means the organization sometimes change the habits, aspirations, lifestyles of the public so that they get their products sold, they get their services sold. This is this is what is called identification of publics because their aspirations change. The society is moving ahead towards we can't say according to the technological improvements, according to the Western style imposed on ancient or sorry Oriental or Indian societies. Naturally the aspirations of the people change, naturally the requirement of the products and services also change. So this is uh, this is about public. And if you look at the public, in the case of business, the public are called variously. They are called shareholders. Shareholders means they are called stakeholders because whoever has invested even a rupee, they are called shareholders or stakeholders because they have some responsibility, right, over the organization. They are called shareholders or stakeholders, not stockholders. Stockholders are different. And customers, they are called consumers. And commuters, consumer who consumes the goods, consumes the services. Commuter is also a customer, he is also a consumer, but he consumes what? The services provided by a transport. The railway commuters, RTC commuters, airplane commuters, because they commute, they travel from one place to the other. And if you are into the business of transport, they are called commuters, but they are customers. They are the consumers. They are your external public. You have to communicate with them. Your message will have to be tailor made so that it reaches them. They react to it, accept your message, accept your product, accept your service. Then employees, the publics are also employees and suppliers of goods and raw materials. Financial institutions, he provides you the money, maybe banks or non-banking finance companies, or the private lenders also sometimes. They are called financial institutions. Muthoot Finance is a private finance company. Non-banking finance companies like several organizations are there. And you have banks, they lend you business, they lend you money for your small business, marginal businesses, or whatever is your activity for setting up a factory for setting up of an industry and for doing any joint venture or any startup, whatever it is. Financial institutions fall under the category of external publics. Then legislators. Legislators from right from your corporator or your ward member in your village or corporator in a municipal corporation councillor in a municipal council, your MLA, your MP, they are all called legislators because they legislate, they sit in lawmaking bodies and make laws. They are called legislators. They fall under the category of external public because a policy decision will have to be taken by lawmaking body and a legislator being a member of the lawmaking body, he is very important to the organization. Supposing your factory is there in one particular area and the road that passes by may be a smaller road, and then if you don't maintain proper public relations with your councillor or corporator in that particular area, he is not interested in you. And supposing there is a proposal for widening the road, if he is not interested in your organization, if you don't maintain licensing with that particular corporator, definitely he will recommend it in the municipal council meeting saying that the road shall be widened in your area. The result is you will lose some land, either in the front or in the side, or sometimes if the total unit is to be acquired under compulsory acquisition, your entire land will go. And you will be put to great loss. Supposing you maintain a good relations with your corporate, just citing for an example, he may either divert that particular widening arterial road instead of in front of your factory, he will take it to a different side saying that number of people will suffer, or if he doesn't want to make people like you and other people in his own area of operation, he will recommend a flyover or bridge so that your land will not get affected. So these are all simple things. Maintaining good relations, cordial relations is the essence of public relations practice. So we discuss about internal publics and external publics. For all the external publics, why we should maintain proper relations so that we get benefit. It is nothing but mutual benefit. And community activists. Similarly, he may not be an elected representative, not be a ward member or a councillor of a municipal council or a corporator of a municipal corporation or MLA of that constituency or MP of that parliamentary constituency. But yet people like community activists, you call them local leaders, they are also important. Today, he may be a local leader. Tomorrow, he will get elected to some council, some legislative assembly, some organization which makes laws. Then you will have to maintain the kind of relations with the community leaders because they are also opinion leaders. Their opinion carries weight. And in for the business, the other segment of external publics is media. What is media? Media means print and electronic. Print means newspapers. Electronic means radio and television. Radio is audial medium of communication because we can only listen to it, audial medium of communication. And television is called audio visual medium of communication. All these three are called mass media of communication, not narrowcast. They are called broadcast media of communication. So mass media of communication. So nowadays you have various kinds of social media channels. You can also put across your messages. But for a business, you need both newspaper, radio, print and electronic media, that is newspapers, radio and television, and also social media channels and private channels, YouTube channels, many other things. You need to have a kind of license and good relations. Of course, sometimes you get publicity And sometimes by spending money, you'll have to advertise your products and services. And now, for business, we have discussed so many categories of publics, both internal and external. And for a non-profit organization, they are called they're civil society organizations. They are called not-for-profit NGOs, non-governmental organizations. For them, they have also publics. Who are they? Contributors and donors, importantly, they are external publics. Some philanthropists in the society, some donors in the society, they will contribute some kind of money to the NGOs because that NGO may be having a kind of ideal objective, say for the street children, say for street dogs, say for something for taking care of elderly people who have been abandoned by the children, by their children, for widows, for destitute women, whatever it is. NGOs work for the charity, and for those charity organizations, money comes not only from the government, but from the contributors and donors in the philanthropic people in the society. Then volunteers. Volunteers are also form a segment of publics for the NGOs. Some volunteers will do some kind of work. For example, society concerned for traffic congestions in the city, there is an organization, and they do have some kind of volunteers. They volunteer by register themselves with the particular organization. They spend some time, go to the streets and regulate the traffic. So these are all the volunteers. And for this particular non-government, non-profit organization, NGOs, civil society organization, also media is important. As I told you earlier, media means print and electronic. Print means newspaper, electronic means radio and television, of course, with the new IT new medium and the social media. For government agencies, who are the publics? Taxpayers and voters, general public, and other related government agencies. And segmentation of public, it is very, very important. The moment a public relations practitioner is asked to communicate something, maybe a new product launched or a new service initiated by that organization, the very first duty of that particular man, a PR practitioner or a communicator, corporate communications manager, whatever is the designation, he has to identify the public, who are all the internal public and who are all the external public, make a segmentation, and prepare the communication according to the knowledge, because the effective communication needs 7 C's of communication. You have already dealt with in one of the journalism classes. The 7 C's of communication are important for effective communication. The communicator and the communication and the response, the sender, the receiver, are important, because if you don't keep the receiver in mind, if you don't keep the consumer of the information in mind, if whatever is the communication is prepared, if it is not effectively communicated, it will go waste. Therefore, segmentation of publics is very important. We have called them customers, stockholders, employees, and then opinion leaders. Opinion leaders are very important because public relations is a two-way process of communication, and information information will have a two-step flow. Information will have a two-step flow. It means information from the source, either media, newspaper, television, radio, or from any other source. The information will come to the opinion leader first. That is one step. And from information leader, it will reach the other people. They are called information dependents. Therefore, it is called two-step flow of information. We should understand what is information and what is communication, how information is disseminated, how information spreads, what is disinformation, what is misinformation, what is misperception of communication, what is misconception of communication. These are all the things the students of journalism and public relations must understand in order to have a grip over the subject. Now, These opinion leaders are again divided into three categories. That is, one, vocal activists who devote themselves to advocating a cause. And the second category of opinion leaders are leaders such as the mass media and key educators. And the third segment of opinion leaders, power leaders like the politicians, bureaucrats, judges, and others who have the power to take decisions that affect organizations and society. Now, public opinion. Public opinion is a very big subject. It is an expression of a belief held in common by members of a group. So, generally, democracy, especially parliamentary democracy, like we have a democracy, in a democracy, the public opinion plays a very important role. It is called the consensus of the public opinion. Just imagine an election. What is the majority? The majority is 51 over 49. In elections, anywhere, supposing 10 seats are there, the man who gets six votes is the winner because it is above five. Or 100 votes are 100 votes are there. The person who gets 51 votes is the winner, and the one who gets 49 votes is called the loser. So it is the majority of the public opinion upon which the democracy is based on. So public opinion is very important in taking decisions. So in forming the process, it emanates from the expressed individual opinion. Sometimes numerical majority, sometimes effective majority. What is numerical majority means? I told you 51 over 49 is numerical majority. What is effective majority? In effective majority, the number is not important because public opinion is always like a tip of an iceberg. It is not seen completely. A tip of an iceberg is submerged in the sea. What happened to Titanic ship? The captain of the ship mistook the ice that is floating on the sea as a floating ice. But there was an iceberg, there was a mountain underneath, and only a tip was visible to him. So he proceeded further, dashed against it, and the ship wrecked. Therefore, similarly, the public opinion is such a dangerous thing. If you can't perceive it properly, you will suffer. And public opinion, there is a saying, if the public opinion is in favor, nothing will perish. It means if the public opinion is in your favor, nothing will spoil, nothing gets damaged, nothing will suffer, nothing will happen. And if the public opinion is against, nothing will cherish. What happened to the recent elections of Telangana government? Public opinion was against BRS government, BRS party, in spite of several things they did. But public opinion, we can't say. We don't know how people judge the contestants, how judge the people. They want, they want, they want their ruler in such a manner, in such a fashion. So they elect. That is public opinion. I'll give you another example of effective public opinion. This is numerical public opinion. Cast their vote, and they got highest number of votes over the BRS. So Congress won. That is one example. The effective public opinion, this example of Lord Rama can be quoted. Lord Rama, through his agents, listened that one washerman was beating his own wife and uttering, saying that I am not like Lord Rama, who has brought back his wife from Sri Lanka. His wife was there for so many years in Lanka and with Ramana, and I am not that kind of a man. So I will not allow you to speak to anybody, and I will, if you do that, I'll beat you to death. So that was the words uttered by that washerman. So when the message came to Lord Rama, he understood that many people may not come and talk to me. Many people may not come and declare and say that you are not a good man. You are not a complete man. Your wife is that her modesty is to be suspected, her fidelity is to be suspected. You have brought you after 14 or some years. She was in custody of that Daman king, Lord Ravana, and you have straightaway brought her, and coronation was done, but that's not good. People will not come and say like that on the face of the king. All these things. Lord Rama thought, so this is the thinking of a common man. Many people must be thinking in the same manner. Therefore, it is not good on my part to straight away accept goddess Sita, and she is to be given some kind of an test. So she was asked to pass through the flames, and she passed that test, and again he accepted. That is a epic. So what I mean to say is, public opinion is of two kinds. One is numerical majority, and the other one is effective public opinion. Numerical consensus of the public opinion is called numerical because it is consensus, put together everything that is numerical. And effective public opinion is what I said. So many learned people, many experts, they tell their opinion, and that becomes an effective opinion. And on that opinion, the organizations need not take again the voting process will not be there. So this is all about public relations, public and the public opinion. Let us now move on to the next lesson, that is public relations models and stages of tools. Public relations models. So what are the public relations models? James Grunig and Hunt, these two are communication theorists, theorists of ESA. They have evolved some models of public relations. They said press agentry or publicity model is one kind of model of public relations. Press agency or press agentry or publicity is one model of public relations. We are talking about public relations, how public relations evolved. The history of public relations is just 100 years, just 100 years. Earlier, its name was spin doctoring, press agentry, publicist, something like that. Why did public relations become public relations in this 100 years? Why not it continued like press agentry means? Whenever this has evolved into a profession, when people started infusing the ethics, morals, and truth into the public relations practice, it has become a profession. Now look at press agency. What is press agency? Whatever you give information, that agency will see that it gets broadcast or printed into the print and electronic media. And what is publicity model? If you give out something, that will be publicized. And what is advertising? If you pay something to someone, either to the broadcast media or print media or outdoor media or anything, he will the advertiser will receive money from you and he will advertise the things. And what is public relations? What is propaganda? And propaganda is to propagate by hook or crook. There may not be truth. But again, what is public relations? Public relations is entirely different from advertising, entirely different from propaganda, entirely different from lobbying, entirely different from advertising. But these are all the tools for the practice of public relations. This press agency, this publicity, this advertising, and of course, propaganda and lobbying, public relations practitioners don't use, but definitely publicity and advertising and public affairs will be used as tools in the practice of public relations because there is no room for false and fake things in the practice of public relations because it is a profession, it has a code of ethics, and the public relations practice is based on the facts and the truth. So, the earliest model of public relations was press agentry or publicity model. Then, afterwards, just before the governments, the nations started giving importance to the general public, then the model of public information has evolved. And then the third model is two-way asymmetric model. And the fourth model is two-way symmetric public relations model. Now we are into the two-way symmetric public relations model. the public relations has become a mm, management science. It is a management function. It's a specialized management function. It is a unique management function. It is a strategic management function. And public relations practitioner, he has to qualify himself. He has to possess certain qualities. Then he is eligible to practice public relations, just like any professional. What is a profession? A profession must be practiced. If there is no practice, it is not a profession. If there are no ethics, it is not called a profession. If there is no upgrading the things, it is not a profession. If it is not practiced daily, it is not a profession. A practitioner is a professional. So he has to update himself in his field of knowledge on a daily basis. So let us move on to the four models of James Grunig and Hunt of ESA they have evolved. The first one is press agentry publicity model. What is role of press agentry? As I told you, it plays a major role in dance recording companies, circuses, tourist attractions, motion picture studios, television, concert. Earlier, in all these companies, the press agentry will will take the information either orally or in print or telecast. He will take it to the public, whoever is the public, and say this is the service, this is the product of that particular organization. How public relations uses press agentry, the organization activities. Yes, definitely the services of the press, printing press, or the radio, or the television, they are used by public relations practitioners. Later, public relations was recognized and employed by more organizations. Definitions began to include the need for research prior to the initiating actions. We'll say process, PR process. In the next class, let us discuss PR process. What are the stages? Now we are talking about models. In the next lesson, when we come across the stages, we'll come to know what public relations practice is. Then, public information model. So in the beginning, it was press agentry or publicity model. Public relations was earlier called as such. Now it is public relations. The next stage being public information model. Earlier, governments not cared for the people they are ruling. After First World War and Second World War, because the taxes are to be paid by the people, by the general public. If they refuse, if they talk ill against the organization, the rulers will have to uh, give credence to what they are talking, so that if they don't pay taxes, the governments cannot run. If they don't pay taxes, they cannot wage war on the neighbor or enemy country, because the government, in fact, started honoring the opinion, honoring the thinking, honoring the perceptions of the people, so that because people have become important for the governments, not like earlier stages where king is more important. Whatever king dictated, the ruled will have to follow. The people governed will have to follow. Now the change has been, the scene has reversed. Even in the business also, cavit vendita, cavit empta. Earlier, the stage was cavit empta. It means the buyer must be beware. Once sold, it will not be taken back. So the demand was on the seller, not the buyer. Now the situation is different. Cavit vendita. You, the fellow, you, the vendor, you, the seller, you must be careful. So we are seeing even in Amazon, when you order something, if you return, they will immediately take. Earlier, it was not there. When you go to a shop, you take something. Once sold, goods cannot be taken back. It was there some 20, 25 years ago. Now everything is returnable because it is the power vested with the consumer. There is a separate act, consumerism. Consumer act is there. According to that, the vendor, the seller, it is the duty of the vendor or seller to be very cautious, be responsible to the buyers, that is consumers. Now, in the public information model, It is used in order to inform the public, just inform the public, without an emphasis or pressing for promotion and publicity. That is called public information model. Earlier, governments used to think that public be damned. Now they are caring for public be informed. It means importance is being given to the public because public, they are the rulers. They elect their representatives. So in a democracy, it is always the voter or the general public, the common man put together collectively, they become public, they are important. So in public relations, model of public relations, the information, the duty of the information is only to transmit from one place to the other. Communicator to the communicatee, sender, source to the destination, sender to the receiver. That's all. And there was nothing more than this, more than that. So this stage is called public information model. And thereafter, two-way asymmetric model. It is a scientific model, but but there was no scope for public feedback, public response, public reaction much. But there used to be some kind of scientific research on how to pass on the information, how to give out the information, who are the public, and some kind of persuasion. Uh, though there is a communication both ways, not much importance was given to the public reaction, public response, public feedback. In communication, there are two things important. Earlier in the earlier lesson, I told you about two-step flow of information. Here, it is two-way communication. In two-way communication, two things are important. One is feed forward, and the other one is feedback. The communication which you give out is called feed forward, and the communication you expect back from the audience or the public is called feedback. So if the feed forward and the feedback are in consonance, then the communication will be effective. Supposing I am talking to you and there is no response from you, I cannot ensure whether you are convinced or confused unless you talk back, or unless you report to the university whether you are convinced, whether you could receive the information, what is needed by you. Then the response is delayed. I will not be getting the instant feedback, so that if the feedback is instant, the communicator will mend his ways. The communicator will change his style of communicating. I'll tell you one simple example. Supposing I am talking to undergraduate students, you have that kind of level of understanding to receive my communication, to understand what I say, because this is English medium, whatever is the medium of communication. Supposing I tell the same thing to class 5 students about public relations, public understanding, consumerism, then vox populi, and two-step flow, is that kind of category of people comprehend what I say? Definitely, there will not be any feedback. So my communication or the communication exercise of the very university, that is Ambedkar Open University, will fail. It means there are barriers to communication. There are several barriers to communication. I think you might have come across in your journalism papers. What is important here is the communication, in order to be effective, there must be some kind of two-way process of communication. It means there must be information forward, and feedback, because feedback is very important. If there is no feedback, the circle of communication will not be complete. Yeah, I think you have come across Osgood and Stram communication. Whatever information will pass through the medium of communication, it will go to the targeted audience, that is the communicatee or the receiver, and from there some information will come back to the sender or the source or the communicator. Then only the communication circle completes. if there is no feedback, there are a lot of drawbacks. That's why in two-way asymmetric model, though there is a two-way process of information, the feedback will not be at such a quantity that the communicator is not affected. And when you come to two-way symmetric model, this is exactly what we practice today, that is public relations model. It relies on honest and open two-way communication and mutual give and take rather than one-way persuasion. It focuses on mutual respect and efforts to achieve mutual understanding. It emphasizes negotiation and a willingness to adapt and make compromises. Suppose you go to a shop, you negotiate, you see the product, you ask for it, he will give you the same information, some kind of information about the product. You get convinced, and then you buy it. You have more satisfaction because the communication was two-way, communication was complete. If that is not happening, if that face-to-face direct oral communication is not happening, something is left out. Communication becomes incomplete. Therefore, feedback is always important. Two-way symmetric practice of public relations model is appropriate for the day. It requires organizations engaging public relations to be willing to make significant adjustments in their means of operation. It seems to be used more by non-profit organizations, government organizations, and heavily regulated business such as public utilities than by competitive profit market-driven companies. So this is all about public relations models, and how you apply the models is not your own option. It all depends upon how you segment the publics, how you communicate with the targeted publics, how far you have liberty with the management so that you can communicate, you can adopt multimedia, you can adopt different campaigns, you can run campaigns, you can you can inform the public appropriately. So with this, we have completed four lessons. In the next class, we will take up two more lessons. Until then, if you have any questions in the participants, you can question. Just 1 minute left. Otherwise, we will conclude it here. Anything? If there is nothing, we will conclude it. Any questions, participants, my dear students? Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Let us meet in the next class.